Hello, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
Okay, so PS fucking hates anybody who doesn't realize how hard it is to get help for mental health. And for everybody who just thinks that I'm just sitting here and ignoring everything. Forget it.
Later.
Did you know that borderline personality disorder was named one of the hardest illnesses to live with?
Please, let me go. For the love of God!
I've met God. He had nothing nice to say about you.
People are so quick to be like, I can outsmoke you, dude. Okay, but can you outcrack me, dude? Bring
I'm hanging out with new people. Insert people that I've met. Also, Anna Campbell. Now, I feel really bad bringing up Anna's name, a prominent figure in my story, so it's just hard for me to talk about this stuff without saying I met Anna when we were both on track. I want to talk about my story behind the scenes. So, you know, anytime that I hear other people at least tell their story about experimenting with hard drugs, there is almost always like more than one person involved. Like it's not just usually one person doing it by themselves. It's usually they like make friends that are also interested in doing those things, and you have a group of people or a duo, or you just surround yourself with others that are interested in doing that exact thing. To get through to my audience in this video is that I was not being aware of who I was making my friends with and what relationships I was building with other people and what effect I could have had on other people. I wasn't thinking about my personal influence or other people's influence on me. It didn't make sense to me. You know, I'd always heard the saying, show me your friends or show me your friend group and I'll show you who you are. And I'd never really clicked with that before. So I have to say that when I became friends and, you know, pursued a relationship with Anna, it really became a toxic relationship that I had never experienced before up until that point. Literally, like if you put gasoline and fire together, it was just a recipe for disaster, me and her. And it was after I met Anna that I and her started to experiment more with harder drugs behind the scenes. And you know, I think there was a certain level of trust that I had with this person because, you know, as far as I was aware, she had a psychology degree and she knew a lot about drugs, and you know, she's very open about this on her channel. I'm definitely not spilling any tea right now, but she's very open about her experiments with drugs, and I felt like being with this person gave me a sense of safety or security, when in reality, I definitely misjudged that. Just because someone else has done something before you doesn't mean that it's a good idea for you to do it. I can't stress enough to you guys how important it is that you're hanging out with people that want to have a positive impact on each other, and you're aware of your own impact on others, and you surround yourself with genuinely good people, because I think that it would have made a difference for me if I thought about that kind of stuff, and I did. It was taken by Anna right after that music festival, and as you can see, what I had done to my body. I chose to break up with Anna because I didn't think our relationship was helping me at all. I needed help. I was completely broken. I was out of my mind. I needed medical treatment. So I broke everything off. You know, there was like a huge explosive incident that occurred, and I am not going to share the details of that just for the privacy of. Just to summarize, after Anna got back to Boston, she filmed a video because she's a very open person on her channel with her, you know, private stuff, which is fine. She filmed a video talking about our breakup publicly and didn't give too many details about my mental state and the real reason I had to end the relationship. And I know it's difficult when your two favorite YouTubers separate. It's not easy, and you want to know the details of who broke up with who and what happened. And when she made her video explaining her side of the story, which she had every right to do, I was not able to share my story because I was still not in my right mind. And in a weird, twisted attempt of me to talk to my YouTube channel, or share what I was thinking. I made a video in response that I felt I needed to do because people were asking questions. People were hating on me for ending this relationship because they, you know, it's not their fault. They just had no idea that I was in psychosis and I wasn't capable of filming a normal video. So I uploaded on my channel a video titled Watch Me, which was something that I never really talk about and I never really like to talk about, because when I see that video, I see myself in a very vulnerable state, where other YouTubers that reacted to my Watch Me video asking if I was okay, or like bullying me and hating on me because they had no idea that I was sick. I was actually sick.
The story about me and my ex-girlfriend, Anna Campbell, and she is also a YouTuber. Some may know her from Tana's collab channel, Trash. And I have allowed people to use and abuse me for as long as I can remember, and I only have myself to blame for that, but I am done being silent on the real truth. And for the longest time, I was oblivious to the fact I was being manipulated and gaslighted. And I'm sure there's a ton of other scientific words for what Anna Campbell has done to me, but manipulated seems to be. I now consider myself a victim, and I never saw it until the last month or the past few weeks. But that's what happens when you love someone, whether that be a girlfriend, boyfriend, family member, or friend. You want to see the good in them as long as possible, and me being me, I always gave people the benefit of the doubt. Knowing the state of her mental health, I never spoke up solely because I cared and wanted to prevent potentially hurting her. And is that wrong of me? Yes, but I genuinely was trying to see the good in her for longer than I should have. Now I realize that wasn't the right thing to do. Not too sure why I even cared so much for someone who has always been so okay with hurting me. Anna, I sit here and I film this video for you, for your audience. Maybe even your family needs to be aware of the things you're doing to people. You always said, how far can you push someone? In regards to people hurting themselves, but now I realize that line only refers to you and only ever refers. I'm strong enough to take it, but what about the actual mental and physical trauma that I can't prevent? I wish I had the power to not let you affect that, but it's inevitable. And no matter how hard I try, there are just some damages that you do to people that sometimes take a lifetime to recover from. You think you do nothing wrong, and the fact you actually had me convinced you were an empath makes me laugh. You want a reaction, so this is it. And it will be the last time I ever speak about you or say your name. Anna, I know where your mental health has been at. I don't want to push you. I don't want you to hurt yourself. I have never wanted that, clearly. But why are you only allowed to be upset? Why are you only allowed to be pushed so far? Why are you the only one that's allowed to be suicidal? I cared so much about keeping you sane while you took every last bit of sanity I had left. Multiple times. And you knew where my mental health was at for 3 years. You saw me get myself out of the darkest places, and you said you were proud of me. Why are you so okay with taking that away from me again? You don't care about pushing people as long as you're not the one being pushed. Because if you were pushed too far, then it would be my fault. No, I will not let anyone or you ever manipulate me into believing that any of this is my fault. This is your fault. And everything has been your fault. Not mine, not the internet's, yours. You could have stopped all of this drama a long time ago, but you keep going. You keep doing this to yourself, and therefore, whatever happens after this video is on you. Your mental health is no one else's responsibility. For 3 years, you have made it mine. The way you treat people, the trauma I had to endure, I will never allow you to take that away from me. I was still in high school. I was 18 years old. I put an image on Natalia that I didn't necessarily like from the beginning, which obviously makes sense because no one tells you what they do wrong. The other person is always the bad guy. And she did this to me as well when we broke up. So I think it's important for her to make people believe that she isn't the problem. I was 18, young, and stupid. Like, I was literally a normal high school student. My mentality has completely changed since then. I was 18 years old in high school. You were 25. Talking to me about what you wanted to do to me in graphic plays a huge part, and I'll never be able to tell this story without saying her name. At the time, Anna would text me or Snapchat me videos of her and Natalia together doing drugs.
Hello besties and welcome back to my channel. So today this video will be divided into two parts. The first part being Anna and Kaylee updates since my last video. And the second part, I kind of want to dive deep into the mental deterioration of Anna Campbell from a medical perspective and where she might have gone wrong. So let's start with the first part, which is all the Anna and Kaylee updates. So last video we spoke about how Kaylee came forward and said that Anna not only mentally abused her but physically abused her too. And not only that, she said that Anna cheated on her too. Well, Anna decided that she wasn't going to address any of the allegations and she completely went MIA. And to make matters even worse, she took to her Instagram story to post that she was chilling with her friends and her cousin, partying it up, drinking as if nothing happened and no allegation was put forth against her. This video that she posted also really upset fans. Let me play it for you.
Listen, just so you know, when you wake up tomorrow, you're not going to remember any of this day or this Snapchat video, and I can promise you that. Do you think you're going to?
People then took to her social media to call her out and tell her to address the matter and stop running away, which prompted her to delete all her social media. Kaylee, on the other hand, remained on social media and said how people posting lives of her and Anna made her extremely uncomfortable because there would be times where she would be on the lives for 10 hours straight. And then she said how she doesn't remember half of it and that although people were defending her by posting them, it gave her extreme anxiety. And people were also very quick to call Anna out and saying how insane it was that she hasn't publicly apologized or even shown any remorse whatsoever, even though she publicly embarrassed Kaylee over and over again. And someone even saying that she has no one that can defend her at this point. As well as some people even saying that she doesn't deserve a platform anymore because of the way she's been behaving. Now, this is where things get a little wild. Remember that tweet that Kaylee put out about her being addicted to Xanax, going into the psych ward, and 3 days later, Anna gave her some more? Well, someone tried to call her out for that. That person stated that I both agree and disagree with you. Like, sure, she shouldn't have given it to you, but also you literally asked for it. You'd also be labeled as a hypocrite for not giving it to you, but she was doing it and you weren't able to. Well, this is when Kaylee replied, my friend went into rehab for over a month, and when she got out, I had the respect to smoke in the car so she wouldn't see. When she asked if she could take a hit of just weed, I looked at her and said, I'm sorry, I love you, and I don't want you to go down that hill. That's love. And I agree with Kaylee. Just because someone asks you for something, it doesn't mean you have to give it to them. Addiction is very scary, it's very hard, and the addict will try their ultimate best to get their drug of choice. And now it is your responsibility, the person who is sober, not to give it to them. And I agree with Kaylee on that. Someone then said that's what anyone who has the best interest of their partner or friend at heart should do. In which Kaylee agreed and said exactly. And that's where I think I started to hold resentment towards her without realizing. I think trying to get sober, but being with someone who isn't ready and her watching me be so proud of myself being sober to only hand over the Xanax after I asked just one time, like, that is wild. Now we need to talk about this one person on Twitter called Power Trip Brad, and this person was going at Kaylee's neck over and over again. They started by saying you need to take some accountability for yourself. You asked for the Xanax, you took the Xanax, you blamed her for giving you what you asked for. Whether she should have or not ultimately isn't relevant. These choices are yours, and I would have to absolutely disagree. That is not the case at all. Now, this is where Kaylee responded, "Of course, I take accountability for taking the Xanax, but knowing the person who was supposed to love me and saw me so happy just 1 month sober in the past 3 years, and all I had to do was ask one time, and she handed it over to me. Not blaming her, but I definitely hold resentment for sure." Kaylee then proceeded to say that if my partner had gone a whole month sober and in the moment of weakness looked at me and asked for the drug, I would say no. It was my decision to take it, but I would be lying if I say I didn't look at her differently now, especially when she wants to act like she cares about drugs. This is when people also brought up that when Anna was addicted to coke, Kaylee was there being a support system and stopped her from even thinking about it, as well as that Anna was an addict at some point, so she should also understand how an addict's brain works, and she has the responsibility not to give it to Kaylee. This is where also people pointed out that Anna was the one who brought this to the internet first. Kaylee was simply telling her side of the story, in which Kaylee said exactly, "I didn't even post anything first. Are these people okay?" Kaylee then went on to say that I'll get your facts straight. I didn't air out the dirty laundry first. She went MIA and now I have to defend myself. Bye. Okay, so this is where things get really wild. So remember Power Trip Brad, who we spoke about earlier, was harassing Kaylee online? Well, Kaylee took to Twitter to post my video, which is really amazing, but it really bothered Power Trip Brad. And they took to their own Twitter to say, "Jesus, stop feeding into this. Your lives aren't a reality show. Why would you post videos like this and then say you don't want Anna to get any hate? I see Anna very differently now, but I also see you differently now too." In which someone responded, "You see Kaylee differently for exposing her abuser and reclaiming her power? How about support the victims instead of bashing them and shaming them for speaking up?" And we've seen this time and time again with Natalia Taylor, with Lynn. Whenever someone goes and accuses Anna for some behavior that is considered toxic, they get bashed. The victim gets bashed rather than the abuser. And I honestly am tired of it, because I feel like if so many people are coming forward saying the same thing about Anna Campbell, maybe Anna is the problem here. Maybe it's not all the exes, but Anna. Well, Backwood Brad didn't stop there. They went on to say she's not reclaiming her power. She's repeating the same things and getting effed up daily. She's only retweeting stuff and posting videos that are echoing the things that she said, as if her life is a show for everyone to watch. Like, I like both of them, but I don't like what I've seen from either of them lately, and I hope they both get the help they need. And why should we tell a victim to stop talking about something if they're not truly over it? I don't understand what Backwood Brad was trying to come up with from this tweet. Like, it's just honestly makes no sense to me. Now, this is where Kaylee's supporters took to Twitter to try and defend her, in which Kaylee also responded saying, "I'm not reclaiming power by spending 8 months silent. Now I'm finally coming out about some of what happened in our relationship, which I didn't even want to do in the first place. People like you make me disgusted," echoing as if her life is a show. "You make me sick." And which Power Trip Brat responded, "If it makes you sick to see someone have an opposing view, I can see why you repost the things these fans make about your relationship." Now, this is where Kaylee blocked Power Trip Brat, and they were obviously butthurt, so they took to Twitter to say she blocked me because she couldn't take hearing the truth about how she's using her relationship with her ex. She doesn't want to hear anything that isn't echoing her thoughts. Also, using mental health as an insult is an ugly thing to do. She's better than all of this. And no, Power Trip Brad, she blocked you because you were harassing her online over and over again, even though she is the victim here. And I think Power Trip Brad completely missed the point on this one. Someone then even went on to say, "One thing no one can say about Kaylee is that she's used her relationship or had ulterior motives. Kaylee has been the most supportive, loyal, and protective person Anna's dated." As well as some people telling her, "No shit, she blocked you. You could have simply unfollowed her if you didn't like what she posted," in which Power Trip Brad said, "The thing is, I said I see her differently. I've followed her a long time, and there's a lot of aspects of her that I love. That's why I think she's better than this shit." in which someone responded that you realize that what you're doing is harassment, right? And I agree. Like, that person was just simply harassing. There are nicer ways to say things. People also realized that the account was made on the same day, and they said that it could have been Anna's burner account, but I'm not going to give Anna that much credit. I don't think it was Anna's burner account. I think it was just a diehard Anna fan, and they couldn't hear anything bad said about Anna Campbell, to be honest. Backward Brad also brought up the whole Rihanna situation with Chris Brown, and in which someone fact checked them and then said that she did a whole interview with Oprah, "Are you okay?" In which Kaylee responded literally. And before Power Trip Bad was blocked by Kaylee, the person went on to say, "What did Anna publicly say about your relationship? I'm not trying to invalidate you," but then the person goes on to invalidate Kaylee and goes on to say, "There are no questions whether you're experiencing trauma. I recognize it well. But what you're doing is you're not speaking your truth anymore. It's time to stop feeding into this shit and get actual help for your trauma and stop using Twitter to make your anger or pain feel valid. It is valid. You don't need these people repeating it to you. Lastly, while I'm sure there's more, do you really need or want to share every detail of your relationship?" In which someone responded, "She's not sharing every detail. Have you seen what people were saying before she came out about this? So many people were attacking her for leaving when she said she'd always be there for Anna." Kaylee then went on to say that the funniest part is that you think I've spilled all the details when you still don't know even half of it because I try to protect her. It's none of their business. How would you go and tell Anna that before she went online and started it first? You aren't going to invalidate me. And when Power Trip Brat told Kaylee earlier that they saw her differently, she tweeted out, "You see me differently now too? For what? Sharing my story? Seeing a video made about my relationship so people can stop asking me about it over and over again?" If you even watched the video, you could see the girl wasn't hating on Anna and was just saying she needs help. Bye. And these are some tweets that she posted online as well after seeing all the hate she was getting from this Power Trip Brat person. You can read it out yourself. And yeah. And this is where Anna took to her own TikTok to post this video, which I think is very cowardly. And at the same time, I also don't quite understand the need to post this video. If you genuinely want to get help, I think that she should have just gone and gotten help and afterwards gone and addressed the internet instead of just making it about her again, making it about her mental health, because it's always been that way with Natalia Taylor, with Taylor Lynn. It's always been this way, and now she's doing the same thing with Kaylee as well. So before addressing it with the person who was actually hurt, who was Kaylee, she took to the internet to explain herself again, which is just I don't think it's good. Like, I think it's just cowardly, honestly speaking. Now, when she posted this, there was no context to the matter whatsoever. So people just assumed, oh, Anna was having a bad mental health day, and they just posted all these positive comments, and they didn't really know it was related to allegations of like physical assault and stuff. So yeah, Kaylee then decided to take her own Twitter to address the matter. So Kaylee said that Anna posting a TikTok and still somehow making it about herself instead of just saying sorry to me just shows how much she cares about her self-image when it comes to her supporters. She doesn't owe any of her followers an apology other than me. So once she's ready to take accountability and I'm going through my healing phase, it's just going to set me back. So I can't wait for that. Thanks. Kaylee also made sure to let Anna know how she felt about her posting the TikToks. So she wrote two replies. One being, "While everything is going down, you always go MIA. Please take care of yourself, but don't come back once I've gone through my healing phase to then set me back." She also went on to say, "You don't owe any of these people an apology other than me. So please don't come back to take accountability later once I'm healed for your audience." And honestly, some of the replies that Kaylee got from these two replies to Anna's TikToks were really disgusting. A lot of people were blaming her and calling her out. But honestly, Kaylee must be really frustrated. Imagine you being abused by your ex, and finally, when you decide to open up and tell people about the abuse, your ex, instead of coming to you and apologizing about it, they take it to the internet to speak about how they are hurting and how they feel bad instead of actually taking accountability for the actions that they have caused to hurt you. I understand where Kaylee is coming from. It's frustrating. And imagine now everyone taking your abuser's side rather than you, who is the victim here. And we've seen this so many times. And honestly, it's just sad that we haven't gotten better since then. Once Kaylee came forward, the tide did shift a little bit towards Kaylee's side, but not by too much, which is actually very surprising. A lot of people were still on Anna's side. And one person said that you hit Kaylee. This should have been a TikTok apologizing to her, but it's still about you. And I agree. If you have the energy to film a TikTok crying, you should have the energy to apologize to someone. It's not that hard. She could have said, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for all of my actions. I am trying to get better and I'm only learning and I will only grow from here. And I will come and give a formal apology once I'm out of the psych ward. I am trying to get in there and to try and get better." And that's honestly all she had to do. But instead, she made it about her, how she was hurting. And honestly, that's honestly very sad and frustrating. And the person here who commented, I think people just want her to address it. Instead, she deactivated her Twitter, went MIA, and then posted videos of her partying. Excuses. And this person actually did message me and sent me screenshots of everything and how Anna said that I effed up by trying to cope by partying way too hard and also blasting it everywhere. Believe me, I regretted both of these decisions very quickly. And honestly, I don't believe her, guys. I swear to God, I do not believe her because a few days after this, a few freaking days, like not even weeks or something, a few days, we get her posting on Insta as if nothing happened, guys. Like, I don't know if I'm going crazy, but this keeps happening. This is a trend with Anna. She keeps saying, "Give me a few weeks to figure it out. Let me get into the psych ward. Let me try and get better. I will come and address everything." But then she has all this energy to be posting all these mindless things that has nothing to do with any of the allegations that are put forth against her. And she's saying that she cannot mentally post about the allegations, but she can physically like have the energy to post all these random TikToks. Like, I just don't freaking understand. Like, Anna, are we dumb? Like, are you trying to say we're dumb? I honestly tried to be on her side here. I tried to understand her from a medical perspective. I tried to understand her from her mental health perspective, but at this point it's manipulative. It's just wrong. Like, I have to call this out. Like, this is wrong, Anna. If you have the energy and the time to be posting all these mindless things, you definitely have the energy and time to be apologizing to Kaylee, like point blank. And I just don't buy it anymore, to be honest, because the last time that she posted a video about Taylor Lynn and they went back and forth all over Twitter, Anna did this whole thing again where she said her mental health was deteriorating and she said that she's gonna go into a psych ward and she'll explain everything once she's out. Guys, it's been 2 months. We have no explanation. She just went on posting videos as if nothing happened once more. Not like she was threatening to kill herself all over Instagram a week before that. Like, no, nothing. And honestly, at this point, I'm just like, is this just your alibi? Is this something that you use every time you get into trouble? You say that your mental health is deteriorating. You say you're going to go into a psych ward. You said when you come back, you'll be stronger and you will explain everything to everyone. But it never happens. That day never comes. And at this point, I'm just starting to realize it's a trend. And, and this brings us to the second part of this video, which is a look at Anna Campbell's mental deterioration over the years from a medical perspective. Okay, so I'm a final year medical student, and I thought that it would be important for me to kind of debunk some of the things that she said in her last video, because I felt like it was just a bit medically inaccurate, as well as I've seen so many red flags from her video, and that could kind of explain why she keeps getting into all this mess in all of her relationships. And yeah, we'll get into that. We'll explain why this has significance. Now for this part of the video, I'll be referring to her video, every psych medication I've tried and how they made me feel, because I feel like this video is very telling and there were some misconceptions in it, so I want to get into that. As well as for this part of the video, I'll be linking information from the Mayo Clinic, NHS, Healthline, and WebMD, so you can definitely go and check out all of these articles yourself, as well as all these articles are recently updated, so they're not something that is really old, they have been updated this year. So let me start off this section by saying that what Natalia Taylor said at the beginning about Anna having studied psychology and knew a lot about drugs is a common misconception.
And I think there was a certain level of trust that I had with this person because, as far as I was aware, she had a psychology degree and she knew a lot about drugs.
So I want to stress out, I don't know if Anna uses her psychology degree to hold some sort of power over young naive girls with no drug knowledge, or her drug knowledge, she means her past with drug experimentation. But I need to say that psychology and psychiatry are two different things. Psychologists are not allowed to prescribe medication legally. They can just oversee the patient along their medication journey, so using a psychology degree to justify drug use is very manipulative, as her area of expertise is in psychology and therefore medication has little to do with that. As well as there's only 5 states currently where psychologists are allowed to give medication. Other than that, psychologists who do give medication are required to receive proper training and are permitted to prescribe only certain medicines used in the treatment of mental disorders. So secondly, the first red flag that I observed at the beginning of the video was that she stated she was on her first drug from the age of 19 to 25. So the red flag lies here. She said that she was on 450 mg, which is not allowed anymore, which is a common misconception.
I needed to be put on medication, and this was when I was first put on Wellbutrin. And at the age of 25, they put me on 450, which is not allowed anymore.
According to Mayo Clinic, 450 is the highest dose, but it is still allowed, while some doses can go up to 522 mg per day. And this article was last updated on February 1 of 2021 of this year. So that is an inaccuracy in her video. Another red flag is how she said that she was putting herself on and off the medication and forgot to take it, which is very dangerous, as it can lead to experiencing more side effects than necessary.
I was taking myself off of it, putting myself on. I would forget to take it. I would have phases where I took it perfectly. It was just really weird.
Abruptly stopping the medication can lead to side effects like agitation, anxiety, dizziness, a feeling of constant movement of self or surrounding, headaches, increased sweating, nausea, trembling or shaking, trouble of sleeping or walking, or unusual tiredness. So she had to sit with a doctor and gradually reduce the dose instead of just going off it abruptly or not just missing doses altogether. Another thing I want to add is that around the time she was taking it, she was with Natalia Taylor, and we know that they did hard drugs together, which can cause unwanted drug interactions, which once again is dangerous. Illegal drugs is usually not recommended while taking antidepressants, as it can cause unpredicted and unpleasant side effects. Anna has said that she has experimented with cannabis, cocaine, and ketamine, which are all not advised with antidepressants, as well as alcohol, which can worsen the symptoms of depression or other mental health conditions. Another misconception and a red flag that I saw in her video is that she said that she was up to 450 mg of Wellbutrin, which is illegal, which is, I stated earlier, is a common misconception.
It turned 25. The doctor upped me, and the doctor upped me to 450 milligrams of Wellbutrin, which now I'm pretty sure is illegal, and they can't up you that high. It's too high.
Another huge misconception in her video is that she said that she can't be on antidepressants anymore, which is once again very untrue, since antidepressants can sometimes trigger a manic episode. According to the Mayo Clinic, people with bipolar need to be prescribed an antidepressant alongside a mood stabilizer or an antipsychotic. So her constantly mentioning that in her video is just medical misinformation.
And that is why I can't be on antidepressants anymore, or I'm not supposed to be on antidepressants anymore.
So her manic episode is a result of taking antidepressants without an antipsychotic or a mood stabilizer, not because of the reasons that she gave in the video. Another thing that screamed red flag to me was the fact that she would try all these medications and decided she hated all of them before waiting out the side effects. If side effects seem intolerable, people are often tempted to stop taking antidepressants or reduce the dose on their own, which they shouldn't do. It's very dangerous, as it can cause symptoms to return, and stopping the medication may cause withdrawal-like symptoms. Another red flag is that she said she stayed unmedicated for a year with her bipolar, which is very dangerous once again. So it's important to note that there are many complications when bipolar is left untreated. It can result in some serious problems that can affect every aspect of your life. So treatment is very important, and getting diagnosed and getting treated is very, very vital. While bipolar is generally lifelong, treatment helps so many people manage their symptoms day to day. And one of the biggest risks of untreated bipolar disorder is that it tends to get worse the longer it goes untreated. Delays in diagnosis and treatment can lead to personal, social, and financial problems, so it's very important. As well as these are some of the dangers, once again, of untreated bipolar disorder. As well as, I guess the biggest takeaway is that untreated bipolar disorder can lead to social, emotional, and financial problems. As well as early diagnosis and early treatment offer a lot of people a good chance for a full and productive life. So another red flag that I want to mention is that she said that Wellbutrin is the shit that started all of this. What she fails to realize is that she herself is to blame for that. She was not taking the medication as prescribed, as well as the doctors at the time were unaware of her bipolar disorder. So she needs to understand that medication is a trial and error until she finds the right one. She can't go around blaming every medication, every doctor that she sees. I think that is very, very toxic. Another red flag that I saw from the video is that she stopped taking another medication because of nightmares, which is once again a very common side effect with antidepressants when you first start taking them. So I can see that she did not wait out the side effects, and she's done that for a couple of these medications, which is really bad again. Another red flag that I observed is that she constantly changes psychiatrists, which once again is not recommended. If she was to change psychiatrists, it is very, very, very important for her to have a list of all the issues she's had with medication or treatments in the past, her goals, allergies, medical history, treatments which have not been discussed before, and symptoms and experiences, and not just the diagnosis. See, my issue is that I feel like every time she goes to a new psychiatrist, they're usually unaware of her past treatment plan, or they're also unaware of her bipolar. And as we discussed earlier, the treatment of bipolar differs from other mental health issues, like I mentioned earlier, so that could explain why she was constantly prescribed medication for depression without a mood stabilizer or antipsychotic. That can also explain why she was given trazodone, which has the capacity to induce mania. For trazodone, it's important to tell the psychiatrist your history of mania or bipolar disorder. The next thing I want to talk about is that she's on Xanax now, which I must add is a benzodiazepine. They're generally not a core treatment for mania. However, they can control certain manic symptoms. How they're taken is they're usually taken for a brief time, up to 2 weeks or so, until mood stabilizing drugs get into effect. Now, what I'm guessing is that Anna did not keep up with her treatment plan, or she did not reveal all of her past history to her psychiatrist, because usually benzodiazepines can be habit forming or addictive. So they're usually avoided in people with history of alcohol or substance abuse, unless it's necessary or for a short period of time. But she took it for 6 months. So what I can guess is that her new psychiatrist wasn't aware of all her past history, as usually it's not given to people with history of alcohol or substance abuse, or given for a short period of time. And the final red flag is that she said that Zoloft is one of the worst medication to be prescribed with bipolar disorder, which is once again a misconception, and it is very untrue. It is actually used for bipolar disorder. The only difference is that the psychiatrist must be informed if you have bipolar disorder or you have tried to commit suicide. As once again, Zoloft is one of the most commonly prescribed medication for bipolar disorder. The only difference, once again, is that it has to be used in conjunction with a mood stabilizer. She said a simple Google search will show you that it's the worst, which is very untrue. It is actually one of the most commonly prescribed medications for bipolar. And she also needs to realize that with Zoloft, there is a huge drug interaction when it comes to alcohol. So she should probably research that. Lastly, a thing I wanted to say about this video is that she keeps asking her fans for their opinions over Instagram and YouTube about her medication, rather than taking her concerns to her psychiatrist, which is actually the only person who can actually give her a proper treatment plan. And another thing is that she needs to realize that psychotherapy is a key part of the treatment process. Instead of her always going to the psych ward a day or two, every few months, she needs to keep up with psychotherapy, and that is very, very, very important. So the big takeaway from all of this is that either Anna hasn't fully committed to getting better, or she is using trauma as a badge of honor. She needs to stick to her strict medication regime, follow up with her psychotherapist, avoid alcohol and any illicit drugs, stop changing psychiatrists based on her wants. That is the only way for her to overcome all her hurdles, because at this point, the way I'm seeing it, she is the only one coming in between her treatment. If you have made it to the end of this video, I absolutely love you, and be sure to subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think about all of this and what I've said. So you can also go back and read up all the articles that I used on this video, as well as just let me know what you want to see in the future. So yeah, thank you.